The untouchables, half-clad men and women, young and old, congregated at Mahad, walking through the streets of the town, shouting slogans in praise of Shivaji and Dr. Ambedkar. Finally, they gathered at the conference, even as tension gripped the town. On the second day, the conference spontaneously decided that its president, Dr. Ambedkar, should lead a procession of untouchables to drink water from the prohibited tank. Subedar Raghunath More, a retired army man who had participated in the actual struggle, says,
सभा झाली नंतर आम्ही सगळेजण तळ्याकडे जायला होतो 5-5, 6-6 जणांची फाईल लागून पुऱ्या त्या क्रांती स्तंभावर तळ्यापर्यंत किती 25-30 हजार लोक होते हो काय बघायला नको जेवण केले.
We went in a disciplined procession, nearly 25,000 of us, in rows of 4. We walked silently through the streets and then to the brink of the tank, Baba Sahib leading us.
आणि त्या सगळ्या जनतेच्या सामनेच सगळ्या गोष्टी झालेल्या आहेत.
As thousands of eyes watched, Dr. Ambedkar touched the water.
मग बाबांच्या बरोबर आम्ही तळ्यावर गेला आणि तळ्याचं पाणी बाबा शिरले तर एवढ्याच गोंधळ तिकडे स्वर्ण हिंदूंनी त्यांचे जे गडी होते खुद्द स्वर्ण ब्राह्मण कोणता आलेला नाही पुढे ते मराठी लोक.
That sparked off a violent reaction among the caste Hindus. The tank is polluted. Now they will pollute the temple of Lord Vireshwara, they shouted, and attacked the culprits, the untouchables, with sticks and stones. Several were injured.
त्याच्यात मध्ये एक भानुदास कांबळे चांभार महाडचा, एक आपले हे राजभोज साहेब 2 आणि आमच्या वडवली गावचा फौजदार बाळू म्हणून त्याच होतो चांगला चाडा मोठा त्याला आणि चांभार खिंडचा एक त्या 5-6 जणांना मार लागला होता.
Following the violence, the conference refrained from further physical confrontation and civil disobedience and decided to secure their rights through the court. The next day, the Brahmin priests of Mahad purified the tank in a religious ritual. This act wounded Dr. Ambedkar deeply, and they decided to take the struggle further. It was after this struggle that Ambedkar started another fortnightly journal from Bombay, Bahishkrita Bharat. It was part of the Mahad campaign that on December 25th the same year, under the leadership of Dr. Ambedkar, the second conference at the same spot ceremoniously burnt the Manusmriti. I may be hard on Manu, but I am sure my force is not strong enough to kill his ghost. He lives like a disembodied spirit and is appealed to, and I am afraid will yet live long. The growth of the caste system is too gigantic a task to be achieved by the power or cunning of an individual or of a class. Moving the historic resolution that rocked the Hindu orthodoxy, Dr. Ambedkar compared the event to the French Revolution. The veteran Tarkatirth, Lakshman Shastri Joshi, says,
When he burned Manusmriti, I met him in Mumbai, Bombay, in his house, Dadar. I told him, you burned Manusmriti, but by burning everything is not negated. Something permanently positive remains in spite of burning Manusmriti. He said, I believe that Manusmriti must contain so many good thoughts. I don't say that everything is condemnable. he was very clear about it. He was not confused at all.
The crusade continued. Dr. Ambedkar had lit the torch of consciousness. The untouchables all over Maharashtra and the country had begun to galvanize. In 1926, the crusade continued. Dr. Ambedkar had lit the torch of consciousness. The untouchables all over Maharashtra and the country had begun to galvanize. In 1926, he was nominated by the governor to the Bombay Legislative Council. As a conscientious legislator, Ambedkar applied his erudition and legal knowledge to champion the causes of the lowly and the poor. The Mahar Vatan Bill, seeking to free the untouchables from village bondage, women's emancipation, education of the poor, prohibition. No subject which touched the lives of the downtrodden and the weaker sections escaped Dr. Ambedkar's scrutiny. He became the acting professor of Government Law College. His fame began to spread far and wide. Young intellectuals from the depressed classes began gathering around him. Dr. Ambedkar was called upon to give evidence before the Simon Commission. His deposition evoked a furor and consternation in religious and political circles. We claim that we must be treated as a distinct, independent minority. We claim reserved seats if accompanied by adult franchise. And if there is no adult franchise, we ask for separate electorates. The movement to force entry into temples was an expression of this reformist inclination. The 5-year-long satyagraha at the famous Kalaram temple of Nashik, which began in 1930, was a test case. The temple of Lord Rama at Nashik is an ancient place of pilgrimage, where holy Kumbh Melas are held every 12 years. But for the untouchables, it was impossible to set their eyes on the idol of Lord Rama. The depressed classes of Nashik formed a Satyagraha committee under the leadership of Bhaurao Gaikwad to participate in the struggle under the guidance of Dr. Ambedkar.
म्हणजे जवळजवळ 15,000 लोक या सत्याग्रहाला सामील झाले. लोक म्हणजे मुलं, स्त्रिया, पुरुष, म्हातारे, वारकरी, त्याच्यानंतर बैरागी मोठा जयघोष करीत चाललेले होते आणि लोकांच्या अंगामध्ये इतका संचारलं होतं सत्याग्रहाचं वारं की ते अतिशय आनंदाने आम्हाला आजही कुठे पकडण्याचा हरकत नाही, पण बाबासाहेबांनी सुरू केलेला सत्याग्रह अत्यंत महत्वाचा आहे आणि आम्हाला आमचे हक्क बाबासाहेब म्हणतात त्याप्रमाणे मिळालेच पाहिजे असं सगळ्यांचं म्हणणं. आणि गाडी पडत चालली, जयघोष करत चालले. लष्करी बँड पहिल्यांदा होता लष्करी पद्धतीचा, त्याच्यानंतर मग बालवीराचं पथक होतं.
One of the satyagrahis in the forefront, Shantabai Dani, says, men, women and children, Bairagis and sannyasis, inspired by Dr. Ambedkar, marched on, singing songs and joyful religious dhuns. They were ready to sacrifice their lives to earn their rights. Then suddenly, stones began showering on the satyagrahis.
गंगेकडे निघाली, राम मंदिराकडे निघाली, मध्ये जरा दगडफेक झाली.
Tension mounted in the city. The untouchables decided to lay siege to the temple. The priests closed the gates, and Lord Rama became inaccessible not only to the Shudras, but also to the high castes. The siege continued. As the birth anniversary of Lord Rama drew near, a compromise was reached. The ritual Ram Rath on that day would be pulled both by the Savarnas and the untouchables.
त्याच्यानंतर 3 तारखेला रथ ओढायला सुरुवात झाली. रथ ओढायला सुरू झाले तरी अर्धे लोक तिकडे ना अर्धे आमचे एका जोडीला लागले, परंतु त्या लोकांच्या मनातूनच नव्हतं का आम्ही लोकांनी रथ ओढावं.
The Satyagrahis recalled the drama even today.
ठरलं होतं का या लोकांनी रथाला स्पर्श
It appeared that the Savarnas had no intention of allowing us to touch the divine chariot. They started throwing stones. I was hit by a stone and started bleeding profusely, but I would not leave the procession. The prolonged Satyagraha evoked retribution against the untouchables all over. But the Satyagrahis were undeterred. The temple remained closed for a whole year, and the agitation continued till the end of 1935. Ambedkar found all doors of the Hindu religion closed to the untouchables. He soon lost interest in the temple entry movement. He told his people, "The object of the temple entry movement is good, but you should care more for material good than for spiritual food." One steadfast supporter of Dr. Ambedkar's reform movement was the veteran freedom fighter Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, interned in Ratnagiri. Savarkar was against caste divisions and worked for uplifting the depressed castes and removing untouchability. He wanted to invite Dr. Ambedkar to inaugurate an all-caste temple he built in Ratnagiri. Due to his previous engagements, Dr. Ambedkar could not make it. Dr. Ambedkar was invited to the Round Table Conference in London in September 1930 as a representative of the depressed classes. The objective of the conference, held at the historic St. James Palace, was to frame a constitution for India by taking into account the views of various sections of people. But Ambedkar's willingness to represent his people at the conference aggravated the resentment of the Indian National Congress, which had boycotted the Simon Commission and also the conference. All those who associated with the conference were roundly condemned and accused as lackeys of the British by the congressman. From then, Dr. Ambedkar, in the eyes of the Congress, carried the foul stigma of being a stooge of the British. And yet, at the conference, his fierce and uncompromising championship of the Indian national interests caused surprise at home and consternation in ruling quarters. Dr. Ambedkar pleaded at the conference that the bureaucratic form of government in India should be replaced by a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And yet, he insisted, in such a setup, power should not go unchallenged into the hands of the tyrannical majority. The depressed classes must have their just share. They must have adequate safeguards. On this, there could be no compromise. In all the 3 rounds of the Round Table Conference, in the plenary sessions, in committee and in subcommittee meetings, Dr. Ambedkar used all his erudition and skill to champion 2 causes: India's freedom and safety, and the protection of the depressed in a free and democratic India.